Many people cannot afford to buy a brand new bike, and because of that they need to rely on the second-hand market. In this video I'm going to share with you some of the key points to look for when you're buying a motorcycle. Stay with me. Welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Pavlin, I'm a motorcycle rider. In this channel I usually upload anything related to long motorcycle trips, so you might consider subscribing. I have talked a lot in my channel about what bike, the choice of the bikes and what luggage and all stuff like that, but I missed maybe the most important question. What you need to look for when you decide to buy a motorcycle. This is going to be a long video, but make sure that you watch it until the end because I promise a lot of important information. Alright, so there are hundreds of bikes for sale, and how we can be sure that the bike we choose is in good condition and the owner is an honest person? We cannot. But before you click out absolutely disappointed from me, let me tell you something. Most of the motorcycle owners or sellers are nice people, but we cannot rely on that. Just because we share the same passion, it doesn't mean that we're gonna get what we have been told. With this, I'm not saying that all the sellers are liars. No, absolutely not. But we have to have this in mind that the owner, he or she, may want to hide something. I'm coming from East Europe, and for me this is somehow much easier. But for most of the people, especially from the Western world, it might be a bit different. A friend of mine, big car dealer, told me once, the client wants to be cheated, or at least this was his understanding about an honest deal. I will advise to stay away from dealers. It's not because the dealers are bad, but it is always better to contact the real owner and have the full history of the bike instead of listen to the dealer telling you some tale stories. What I will advise, to have some necessary steps. The first step will be to find everything, all the information you can possibly find about the model you want to buy. Go on internet, search. There are a lot of forums, Facebook groups and Instagram posts and everything, and try to find as much as possible information about the model you want to buy. Once you learn all of that, what are the problems, what are the downsides, what are the models, variations and everything, you'll be prepared with a lot of questions, and when you finally meet the owner, you will know what to ask. It is always better to be prepared. Just because he looks like a nice guy, it doesn't mean that he will tell you 100% only the truth. A little doubt will always help. The number one and maybe the most important question will be why he or she sell it. Based on the answer, you can continue your personal investigation. And now you might say, Pavlin, investigation, what are you talking about? Why you're so serious? Because guys, I told you, I'm coming from East Europe and the money I'm going to spend are hard-earned. After you receive the answer you need, you can finally check the bike's condition. I will use my motorcycle as an example to show you what you have to look for. So let's go out. Alright, the first should be the overall design. If you did your homework properly, as I told you, to search in internet and find everything about the model, when you see it on real, like me now, you should be able immediately to recognize if there are some kind of modifications or changes. So now I know immediately that these forks are not the original, and this tire, this wheel, the front wheel is not original, and it has two discs. This is with one disc, and the tire is chopped, and few more modifications. I can see it immediately because I know very well how the model is supposed to look like, and you should be the same. You should be able to recognize it immediately, and after that just walk around the bike and make a nice good look from all sides. Look for damages or for signs from crash accidents or problems or even a simple drops. So now you can see immediately here on my bike that there is a scratches here on the panel, which is mean the bike went down, and there is more here, and this is from the tank back, and there are more here again from the saddlebags. You can see where the bike is worn out, and you can judge how that it happens. If you don't have any idea, you can ask the owner, and if he's the honest person, he'll be able to give you very good and logical explanation. Another one scratch here, which is mean bike already been dropped on the left and right side. After you have the information you already need, then you can ask the owner about the documents. This is also very important, and maybe I should have started with this first. Make sure that he's the real owner of the bike, his name is on the title,
Also check the VIN number, which is usually located here on the central column. You might need to spend a little bit more time to find it. My number is here. It's 17 digitals, and it's exactly the same on the title. You have to check this. If your country requires to have engine number, check the engine number as well. It is not going to be bad if you check the ID of the owner as well, because he might have the documents but he might not be the owner. So it is always good to check this, the documental part, to be sure that everything is alright. After that you can check the mileage. In my case it is 141,774, and when I know the overall condition of the bike and I know the mileage, I can judge is this right or not. If the bike is so damaged and so used and so worn out, but the mileage is only 20,000, I will seriously doubt that he's saying the truth. This is just one more test. It's not a 100% guarantee, but it is just to have a basic idea about the bike. After I like the overall design, after I'm happy with what I can see, after the mileage is what is exactly on the bike, I will ask the most obvious question, maybe the most important question: why he or she sell it? And I should receive a logical explanation about it. And based on what I have seen, I will judge that he is saying the truth or he is lying. I have heard many different reasons, but usually I don't have any more time, I have kids now, I don't have time to ride it, or this is too small for me, I'm looking for bigger bike, or it is too heavy for me, I need something different, or I travel with a passenger and this is not enough for two people. So there are thousands of different opinions and explanations, but as I said, they should be logical. Alright, so I have everything I need now, I have the explanation, but now I can walk around and see that there are so many obvious modifications. The forks are changed, the wheel is changed, the disc is changed, the handlebar is not the original, the foot pegs are not the original, the brake pedal is not the original, the bush plate is not the stock bush plate, these panels are not the original, the seat is not original. All of this is fine. I'm not going to say that the modifications are bad. They are something very, very practically useful. But when I buy a motorcycle, I want the motorcycle to be in its original stock condition. I don't want any additional modifications. For example, a quick view under the seat will tell you a lot. In my case, under the seat, you'll be able to see that the original filter is not there. The snorkel is not there, I have a power commander, and I have a lot of cables here attached. Again, this is not bad, but I don't know how these cables are connected, who did it, how they did it, how quality they are made, and all of that. So I prefer to have the bike in stock condition. In many countries around Europe, like Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and many more, when you made all of these changes, you will require to have a special documents to prove it, that they're legal and you can ride it on the street. Just keep this in mind, and when the owner don't have it, that means when you go to register the bike, you might have a problem. The next question might be, is this bike ridden off-road? If the owner say no, it will be absolutely lie, because I can see it. I can see that the rim is damaged on many places, which is mean serious off-road. I can see even the bush plate is bent here, which is means somewhere, in some stage he hit a big rock or something underneath. I can see the modifications here. I can see the white pegs, which is usually always installed if the person have an idea to ride off-road. I have this modification here, which is a clear sign, and also I can see a lot of dust and mud on the bike. But I will also ask the owner what the bike is used for traveling or for commuting. And something most of you will like to see, but not me, is how clean is the bike. Clean motorcycle doesn't mean always good motorcycle, and this is something very important. Yes, I have even a video about it, how often you have to clean your motorcycle. I clean mine once or twice per year, no more. But it doesn't mean that the technical condition of the bike is not good. So this is something I never ask. I just want to have my overall opinion. So when I see handguards, white pegs, flat seat, different handlebar, and maybe some upgrades in the forks, this is immediately for me 100% that this bike it's prepared to be ridden, or it is already ridden for off-road. Maybe not serious off-road, but some kind of off-road. Again, this is not bad, but it depends of that, how good and how long it is used. The biggest stress is going to be on the suspension, the shock absorber, and on the forks. If they're not made properly, if they're not upgraded properly, or if the bike is used so hard off-road, this will shorten their life, and of course it's always going to be on my cost. The next question is going to be how the bike is maintained, self-maintenance or in the garage. If it's in the garage, the owner should have invoices, and I would like to see it to know exactly what he's changed. If not, I would like to know again what he has changed. And indicators, like you can see now here, this green gasket, this is not the original gasket, which is mean this cover was already open. Yes, I opened it around 60,000 to change my clutch, but you should be able to see all of this. The original gaskets are never so big like this, and they're not with different colors. And also you can check all the bolts and nuts, and you see the condition. Sometimes people don't use the proper tools and just damage the bolts. So all of this should look pretty nice, or at least in decent condition. No, okay, now keep in mind that this bike is already 11 years old, but if the bike is good and well maintained, it should be all right. And also, when you have a closer look around the bike, closely around all the bolts and all the things, you should be able to recognize that the bike was kept in the garage or stay outside all the time. If it stayed outside, you will have a rust. You can see now I have a rust here on that bolt, which is underneath. It is possible to happen even if you keep it in the garage. The rust sometimes go in, but if you have a lot of rust, that means the bike is kept outside, especially for people who living near on the coast, UK for example, or somewhere on the American coast. There will be a lot of rust. I will also ask about oil change intervals. How often the oil been changed and what kind of oil he used. So usually people stick to the original stock maintenance schedules, which is 10,000 kilometers, 15,000, on the new model is even 20,000 kilometers, which is ridiculous. I'll be more than happy to hear that the owner changed the oil more often, for example 5,000 kilometers or 3,000 miles or whatever. But 10,000 kilometers for a stock bike, if you ride it not so much, for example you have 10,000 kilometers but made for 2 years and you ride it mostly in the city, it is just too much. If you have 10,000 kilometers for 1 year but you mostly travel with this bike, it's fine. So there is a big difference between the oils and between the intervals. I have a special video about it. It's an old video, but it has some good points on it. You can watch it somewhere here on the top side. The next thing I'm going to check will be coolant reservoir and antifreeze. Now at the moment you can't really see it here because it is too light, but it should have enough liquid in. On every bike the cooling reservoir is on different position. So in mine, for example, if I remove this plastic cover here, I'll be able to see the level. Also I will be able to see the color. It should be clean color. If it's necessary, I will open the cap and check it in. So it should be green color or red color, depends on what it is. If it has some kind of additives in, or if the engine is not in good condition, it's going to be really muddy. So it should be clean and level it. I'm gonna check also the suspension. It should be clean, polished, without any scratches. In my example, I already have some minor, very small light dents here, but they are fine, no leaking, no stuff like that, which is good. The shock absorber is a bit difficult to see, but you should be able at least to see that it's not leaking. So my shock absorber is the stock shock absorber, more than 140,000 kilometers, and it's still fine, no leaks or no problems, no squeezes or something like that. So the result, what I'm seeing now, it's fine. The condition of the brake rotor and the brake pads will tell you a lot. So I can see here that I already have a H, so I can ask again when they've been changed and stuff like that. And again, all of this is a more and more information. The condition of the tires, the chain, the brake pads, and all of this will tell you how well and how often the maintenance is made. The next important step is to check all the lights, indicators, side lights, beams, and everything. I'll also go on the rear side, check the indicators, light, brake light. I'll make sure that everything is work. I'll also check the clutch, the free travel, the overall travel, the condition and everything. The same with the brake lever. In my case, you can see that I cut the edges, which is mean that the bike is prepared for off-road and for serious crashes. This is another one indication for what I'm looking for. all the cables, all the connections. I will try to see how they are made. Are they properly? Is there any friction between the cables? And all of this will give me a lot of information. First, I will look from a distance and I will try to prove that the front and the rear wheel are going in one direction, which is not always really easy to see, but if there are some differences like this or this, you should be able to see it. It is more easy if you have someone to help you to hold the bike, because now in my case I need to leave it on the central stand. Might be a bit different, but when you have somebody to hold it, you'll be able to see that the front and the rear will go exactly on the same position. I will prove this once again when I start riding the bike. When I contact the owner, I always ask him, please do not start the engine from the night before. So when I go there, the first thing I'm gonna do is to check that the engine is absolutely cold and the bike was not started before me. And then what I will do is to start it. Ignition, wait for the diagnostic, and then only press this button. I'm not gonna twist the throttle, nothing. Just leave it to idle for a couple of minutes. If somebody tells you that this model or that model is supposed to twist the throttle, it's not gonna start before that, or if the bike runs too long before the engine starts, it's a clear signal that something is not right. The bike is supposed to start without any acceleration, without any throttle, very fast, with 1 or 2 turns. There are some models that turn a little bit more, like 2 and start, but it should be very fast. So when all of this is done, I will listen for some kind of strange noises or not standard or parasite noises. So my engine, for example, is very noisy, but you should be able to recognize if there are some kind of different noises. I will twist a little bit. Just to make sure that I'm not listening any kind of knicks or knocks or some kind of side or parasite noises, when what we call it. And then I will sit on the bike, and first thing I'm gonna check, I will press the front brake like this, and I'll check the condition of the forks. This is actually double check, because it's not only the forks. If there are some kind of worn out bearings here on the central column, I'll be able to hear it. And I'll check the rear suspension as well. The front and the rear are supposed to go together in synchron. And after that I'll check again the clutch, put on first gear and start to go, see where the clutch is actually starting. I'll make it a few times just to make sure that everything is alright. And after that I will ride it slowly for a couple of minutes, just to make sure that the bike got good balance. I'll try to make some kind of maneuvers, just to prove that the angle is good, the bike is balanced. Because, for example, if you have a wrong tires, or if the tires are mounted on the other way around, not on the direction they're supposed to be, when you have these maneuvers, you're gonna feel it, believe or not. And when I'm happy with this result, then I can twist a little bit more and actually check the condition of the bike. If everything is alright and the bike is aligned well, when you leave the handlebar, the bike will go without any problems in the straight line, like this. You don't need to hold it. If there are any problems, you will feel it immediately. Of course, I will try to ride it as more as possible, but it depends on the owner. But I'm not gonna buy any bike, it doesn't matter how cheap it is or how good it is, if I don't have the option to test it before. It doesn't matter what they're gonna say, I want to test the bike. In overall, I would like to see how the bike responds of me, how I feel it, and I will twist the throttle, see how it is. I will use the brakes more aggressively, just to make sure that everything is alright. What I will suggest, and what I usually do when I'm buying a motorcycle, is to stop and wait for cooling fan. Now in my situation here, it is around 10 degrees. If I want to wait the cooling fan to start, it will take me at least 30 minutes, but on the hot days you should be able to hear it after a few minutes. And this is very important. If the cooling fan start, does mean the whole system, the whole cooling system is work absolutely properly. If the fan cannot start, that means the engine will overheat, and this is a sign for a serious problem. Maybe it's just an air gap, but it could cost you a lot. I'll check the suspension, how good it is, like this. I have to be sure that it's travel very smoothly without any squeezing noises or stuff like that. If I have the chance and the time, I will go on the highway and we'll try it how it's go with 80, 90, 100 to 120 kilometers per hour. If I don't have this chance, if we don't have the time, it's a good indication to check it on the bumpy roads like this. So if there are some kind of knocking noise, you will be able to hear it. But here so far I can prove that everything is alright, even after so many kilometers. I also will check how we handle the corners, like here. We'll twist a little bit more to see how is the throttle response. It's good. One more corner here. Good. The tires hold well, everything is good. More throttle. Oh. I'll make then a little bit more maneuvers with low speed, just like this, just to make sure that everything is alright. And when the engine got really warm, then it's a good moment to check how the gears are going. Is everything alright? The neutral gear is, for example, very important. In many models, when the engine is so hot, you can't find the neutral gear. But here for me now, it's not a problem. It doesn't matter on what gear I am. It is easy to have first gear. And then I will check all the gears. Even on low speed. To make sure that all gears are here. And of course the neutral. Alright, after all of this is done, I'll be happy to go again to the owner and let him know my final decision. If you're wondering where I am, this is Olympia Stadium in Berlin. This is the famous stadium where Hitler celebrated the Olympic Games in 1936. It's a wonderful place to visit, especially if you're a football fan. Alright, this should be enough to check everything I'm looking for and to buy the motorcycle.
Alright, it was a long video, but I'm glad that you came until the end. I hope that this information will help you to make the right decision. If you want to support the channel, all the links are in the description down below. A simple like also will be more than enough. If you have nothing to do, watch this video here. It will help you to choose your motorcycle. Always ride safe and see you next time. Ciao.